My esthetician holy grail products, the things that I use on other people's skin, some of which I use on my own face as well, and some of which I don't. These are the products, the formulas, and the tools that I've been using for years, and I actually don't focus on trends when it comes to in-clinic or in-spa work. Essentially, if I'm doing skincare for someone else, I want to make sure that I know how it's going to work, so it shocks many people when I share that I don't focus on trending ingredients. I stick with what's medically proven, what has actives and ingredients to work, and what I know is going to do what I need it to do. These are all things that can also be purchased over the counter. As an esthetician, there are specific things from brands like Dermalogica that I can get advanced chemical peels, or we can get very expensive fancy tools or even lasers if you're working underneath the scope of a doctor or dermatologist. But these are all the things that I absolutely love and rely on regularly, but that can be used at home, and some of which I actually do. This has personally been in my routine for over 8 months now. This has been as well, especially because as an acne-prone person who really loves to help and specializes in helping other people with acne, I need good actives that are actually going to help mitigate breakouts and not anything that's going to clog skin or make the problem worse. And we'll actually start off with my first holy grail product that is actually made by another expert in the industry, specifically a cosmetician from Denmark, Ulla Henriksen. Ulla Henriksen used to whip up custom formulas in his kitchen. He had studied in London, but he lived in West Hollywood, and he would actually make these fresh vitamin C serums, and as we know, vitamin C can degrade quickly. So he would whip these up fresh and deliver them to his celebrity skincare clients on a bike. And this man with his little skincare sets would be pedaling around Los Angeles in like the 80s or 90s, helping celebrities with their skin. And that's how the Ulla Henriksen line came about. And while this wasn't one of the brands that I trained with, when I first was in aesthetic school in 2009, we had brands like Image and Murad. But as I got into the industry, Ulla Henriksen, Dermalogica, and Face Reality kept coming up when it comes to professional grade skincare. And yes, a lot of people use Ulla Henriksen at home, so I've personally been using this on my skin since March. But why I love this as an esthetician holy grail is because this moisturizer works for literally any skin type. If you're dry, this has peptides in it that actually help to nourish and support the skin, that can help with little flakiness or little cracks. If you're oily and acne prone like me, this doesn't break you out, and it's hydrating, but it's also light enough that it doesn't make you look and feel greasy. And if you do have combo skin and you're just looking for something with skin support, this is it. It is the Strength Trainer Peptide Boost Moisturizer, and I love this. For me, when I approach my own personal skincare routine, I do my best to not switch out products too quickly, because if my skin breaks out or if something positive happens where I'm glowy and refreshed, if I'm changing 50 things, I don't know which variable or which product I changed that caused that. So when I first started using this, it was in February or March of this year. My skin soaked it up during the winter because even though I'm oily, you can be oily and dehydrated, and my face needed it. But even throughout the summer, this was hydrating without oil inducing, and it has never made me break out. I also love that it's in a little purple bottle. The fragrance is, I think it's under 0.1%. I've gone through 3 of these and I am getting towards the bottom of this one, but it is this beautiful, light, fluffy moisturizer that I absolutely adore. And yes, I also adore it on other people's skin as well. Peptides have been becoming more and more popular, and there are so many different types of peptides and amazing things that they can do. Everything from helping with skin inflammation to helping with wound healing to even helping kind of act as a pseudo neuromodulator. Specifically, acylhexapeptide 8, or argireline, is basically called Botox in a bottle, and it is not the same as an injection. Do not get that wrong. But are they absolutely wonderful? Can they tighten and firm the skin? Can they rebuild a skin barrier? And do they hold on to moisture? Absolutely. I freaking love this, and I do use it on myself as well as other people. This also has ceramides in it, which you know makes up 50% of our skin's outermost layer, the stratum corneum. This also has vegan collagen, which is basically these polypeptide chains. And collagen as a molecule is too large to penetrate into the skin, but when it sits on top of the skin, it acts as a humectant and a hydrator. But because this is vegan collagen, it's kind of chopped up into those little fragments and can actually penetrate deeper. So I freaking love this. There are other moisturizers that I've tested out throughout the year, whether it's been swatching or using them on my chest and back. You see, I literally have my own at-home process where I like segment off my body and my face, and I have areas that I test and try different products to see how they work and whether or not I like them. But this one has been going strong since March. I freaking love this. Tati Westbrook does as well, which, by the way, we need to react to her most recent skincare favorites, but this is an absolute favorite of mine for my own skin as well as for clients that I work with. While this is a fantastic barrier repair moisturizer, this doesn't have anything that's going to fight something like active acne or rosacea. And of course, you need to get those diagnosed professionally by a dermatologist. But when a patient or a client has that diagnosis, whether it's from the doctors and derms I work with or from somebody else, that's when I can choose products that are right for them. And that is when I mix in things like like this. This is one of my favorite azelaic acid products. It's from Paula's Choice. This you can buy over the counter, but it is an azelaic acid booster with licorice as well as salicylic acid. So this is excellent for acne. This is excellent for rosacea. This is excellent if your acne or rosacea leaves behind dark marks. And this is one of my favorite formulas that doesn't get like gummy on the skin. Dr. Sam Bunting is also an amazing dermatologist from the UK. She has some azelaic acid products that I absolutely love as well, but they're really expensive and kind of hard to get over here. And usually if I'm using a product on a patient or client that is non-professional, meaning you don't need a license to get your hands on it, I want to make sure that it is accessible. And these are things that I can layer, I can mix together, and like if somebody wanted to, they could literally walk into Sephora or Ulta and pick them up. This does play very well with this. I've also mixed salicylic acid products in here for acne. I've layered AHA products with this as well for people who need a little bit more of like a glow and some exfoliation. But when it comes to treatments, this is one of my favorites. This is also a non-drying and non-crunchy formula. A lot of azelaic acids get a little bit crunchy, but this is like a redness soothing leprechaun. And anybody who comes in with those concerns, I also try to educate about how to turn and learn your ingredients and how to find things that layer well together. And like literally half of the time in a consultation is spent walking through someone's routine and helping them take the crap out and helping them make sure that we're keeping the good stuff in or using actives that are actually medically proven to work. This is one of the best. Again, as a booster, you can mix it in or you can use it on its own. It is phenomenal. And while this is great for like that redness, rosacea, acne, what if you're worried about fine lines and wrinkles? This is one of my favorites, one of my go-tos in my own personal routine, as well as for people who are struggling with acne and fine lines and wrinkles. This right here is a dappling gel from Acne Free. Now, Differin is the same active ingredient of a dappling gel. Differin used to be prescription only. I've been on Differin as a patient, and the doctors and derms that I've worked with, they literally have prescribed Differin before. But this is available over the counter, so you don't need a prescription for it, but it's the same prescription strength, but it is cruelty-free, whereas Differin is not. This is absolutely amazing, and as a synthetic retinoid, it is more stable, so you can use this day and night. And yes, this is called Acne Free, but I educate clients and patients on this all the time. You want to look for the active ingredients, and the adapalene in here has been shown to help fine lines and wrinkles. If you're very gentle with it, and if the derm approves it, you can kind of use it around the eye area as long as you titrate and you're careful with it. You can use it on smile lines. You can use it if you have large blemishes. Even if you have cystic acne, you may need other treatment, and depending on the grade of your acne, you need a doctor or derm to treat it, but you could use this in combination, and you just take a pea-size amount, you dab it all over the face. You can put it under or over moisturizer or without if you really want to. I wouldn't recommend mixing this one in with a moisturizer because if you do, you might accidentally mix it in unevenly, and then you're kind of getting uneven coverage on the face, but this layers wonderfully with so many different moisturizers. And whether you have adult acne and you're struggling with breakouts and worried about fine lines and wrinkles, or if you're a teenager and you're struggling with acne, or if you just have fine lines and wrinkles and you want something that's less irritating, less redness producing, and stable kind of during the day, this is an absolute must-have. I freaking love this, and it's also like under 10 bucks. I can get this on Amazon for like $7 when it's on sale. Absolutely phenomenal. I know it's not the prettiest aesthetically, but it plays so well with other things in a routine, and it's something that I reach for regularly. One brand that estheticians always go for is Dermalogica, and the reason why is because Dermalogica was started by the founder Jane, who really wanted to revolutionize aesthetic care, and she actually started the Dermal Skin Institute. And Dermalogica has some phenomenal products, but I will say some are hit and miss. There are some Dermalogica products that I'm absolutely obsessed with. I use on myself as well as in clinic, and then there are some that I really steer clear from. Now, Dermalogica does have a pro line, and I do want to make it clear that while I have access and use things from the pro line, those aren't things that can be purchased over the counter. And unless you're going in to actually see a professional, you shouldn't be doing like a 35% lactic acid peel at home, okay? Okay. But there are things from Dermalogica that are available at home that, yes, have been sold at some of the places that I work with full transparency and disclosure. But some of these are absolutely phenomenal, and yes, even for everyday use. This right here is one of my go-tos that I still use to this day, and it's the Dermalogica Microfoliant. And a lot of people use this wrong. And I have so much fun demonstrating this product to clients and patients because essentially most people think, and most people online, like put it in their hand and rub it with water and put it on their face, and they're like, oh, it's like sandpaper. It's like, yeah, because that's not how you're supposed to use it. This is a beautiful powder that is made of soft, fluffy rice. It's made of AHAs, so alpha hydroxy acids that can exfoliate, and it's actually got enzymes in here as well that break down dead skin. But it's gentle enough that as long as you don't put it in your hand and put it directly on your face, you can use this every day. And the way you do this is actually by tapping some out inside of a cup, then you actually fill it with water and you whip it up. And it becomes this texture like fluffy egg whites. And it actually doesn't feel scratchy or abrasive to the skin at all. It is absolutely absolutely excellent. And whenever I do it on people, I paint it on with a brush and it feels so relaxing. You can kind of feel it bubbling. It is so much fun. And when people take it home, if they actually use it correctly, you can use it every day. And even though it's called the daily microfoliant, it can be a little bit intense. They also recently launched the milk foliant, which is a vegan coconut milk. It's much more calming to the skin. It's got like oats in it. That one is phenomenal. That's another one that's really good for at-home use, but this is one of my favorites. Yes, I do it on myself every now and again, but whenever someone is coming in for a treatment, all facials have the same basic steps of a cleanse, a steam, an exfoliation, something like a massage, a mask, you know, a treatment, and then an SPF. And of course, there are things you can add like chemical peels or extractions or adjacent therapies. But overall, this is one that I love to rely on, and it is so good. And it's one that when people know how to use it, they can take it home and do it themselves as well. Dermalogica's Pre-Cleanse is also a really good product. That is one that I do rely on regularly. It feels a little bit nicer than something like the Inky List. I love this and I personally use this, but when putting this on someone else's face, it's a little bit harder to work with, whereas the Pre-Cleanse does have like a very relaxing smell. That is one of my favorites when it comes to makeup removal, as long as somebody doesn't have issues or irritations with their skin, or they didn't just come out of like, you know, post-verruca or wart freezing. If you don't have sensitive skin, the Dermalogica Pre-Cleanse is a great one. And yes, it can be used at home as well. Something else I love and rely on all the time are face masks, and there are a couple that I usually go to. I actually spoke about Eminence Organics in a reaction video to a Never Have I Ever Netflix star. And Eminence is one of those brands that kind of does the clean and natural marketing, but they're from Hungary and they're actually used in a lot of spa settings. At the dermatology clinics that I've been in and with some of the doctors that I've worked with, a lot of them sell like Obagi or Elta MD, which we are going to talk about, but most of the spas that are kind of more relaxation, sensorial, or like pre-wedding really tend to focus on Eminence Organics. And one product that I absolutely love from them is the Strawberry Rhubarb Mask. This I can't get enough of for people who want to be pampered. Again, there are two types of aesthetic clients. There's the gimmies and the tell me's. The gimmies say just do what works, make it feel fancy, make it feel nice. And the tell me's say, I want to understand what's in this product, how it's going to work for me, and why it's going to solve the issue or the problem that I have. You know, some people just want to relax and feel good, and some people are really here to get to work and to treat or care for something. Because the work that I do is more medical in nature, it's usually this subset of the population that I work with, but there are a few over here, and I will get those people who say, I only want natural. And that is so frustrating for me, because if it's not a clean, approved brand by Sephora, they don't want it on their faces. And of course, try my best to educate around that, but that is when I go for things like this from Eminence Organics that is, you know, certified clean and natural. This is a beautiful strawberry rhubarb mask. It has hyaluronic acid in it, and this is an amazing antioxidant punch that literally just revitalizes the face. It smells like strawberry butter, and this is a really fun face mask to use. It is hydrating, and I prefer this for more mature skin. If someone comes in and their skin is lackluster, they're struggling with fine lines and wrinkles, especially if they do have dehydration, which mature skin tends to have, this is such a good one. It's also very, very fun to use, and it's something that really gives the skin immediate radiance. Now, for people who are more over here, you know, dealing with oily skin like me, this is one of my go-tos. This is the oil absorbing mask with mineral clays. This is amazing, and it literally soaks the oil out of skin. I love this for teenage skin. I love this for people who have PCOS and are getting skincare treatments. Obviously, skincare will not fix or cure polycystic ovarian syndrome. Do not get that wrong. But for PCOS patients who are struggling with like oily skin and acne, this is such a good one. It's actually inexpensive as well. You can pick it up at Sephora. It is brilliant. This has both kaolin and bentonite clay, so two very powerful clays that wick that oil away. This also has willow bark, which is related to salicylic acid, so it's anti-inflammatory, nice and exfoliating, and then this also has oats in it, so it's even soothing to the skin. Because it has glycerin, it doesn't make you overly dry, but this gets rid of oil, and it is for the oily people. So if you're dry and mature, I love this. If you're oily and acne prone, I love this. And if you're somewhere in the middle, Bubble has got it, babes. This is one that I wasn't planning on including because I've only been using this for about 2 years on myself, and I've only introduced it in clinic for like, I would say like the past year. But this is so good because it is this little pokeball of skincare, and it basically is like grape jelly for the face. It makes you feel like a happy purple grape. It is a hydrating clay mask that reduces oil and kind of sucks it out of the skin, but it doesn't overly dry or dehydrate you. And especially for teenagers, a lot of teenagers come in and their parents are the ones who are paying for those treatments. And a lot of teenagers don't have a solid skincare routine, and they actually need help formulating good habits. And part of the work we do is helping them establish that. And by by using products that are packaged in a fun way or that are non-threatening and they know how to use, making it simple, like KISS, keep it simple stupid, is one of the best ways to go. And again, that's not meant to be patronizing or demeaning to anyone, it's just an acronym, but I'll literally write KISS at the top of a paper and say, keep it simple stupid. Here's your cleanser, here's your treatment, here's your SPF, and if you want to, here's a mask or something fun that you can use once or twice a week. And the amount of change that you will see in someone's skin over just a couple of weeks, and then even their self-confidence and seeing them feel better about their skin and understanding how it works, that is just what makes me light up inside. And it's with little things like these that are fun to use, or teaching people how to combine things or layer things appropriately. It really goes such a long way. And unfortunately, a lot of parents don't know how to guide their kids through that or don't have the information themselves. So sometimes the kids are even teaching the parents about things. Speaking about parents or adults, those are usually the ones who come in and ask about the trendy ingredients. And again, I really stay away from trends unless I know it works and I've tested it and tried it or gotten approval from a doctor or derm. I don't with it. But a lot of people have recently been asking about things such as vitamin C, and this is one of the vitamin C's that I've introduced over a year ago, and this is so good. These are vitamin C ampules. They're at 13.5%, and these are super potent. These are things that a patient or a client can take home and use themselves, or I will use this in a treatment, or after we've finished with something and we're like at our final steps right before applying sunscreen, especially during the day, this is what's going on the face. This is from Medicube, and when they were actually creating this, they not only made them super potent, but they actually tested them with 12 different like safety and skin check evaluations. So this is great because it's one of those that I can use on multiple skin types. It's something that I can put on you if you have oily skin, if you have dry skin, or if you're somewhere in the middle. This has 135,000 parts per million of vitamin C, and it is ascorbic acid. We know that vitamin C is very light sensitive, so the fact that this is like super fresh is always appreciated. This also has alpha bisabolol, which is an amazing antioxidant. And some of the tests that Medicube has done on this are phenomenal. When you look at the studies they've done specifically on hyperpigmentation, even on freckles for some people who have uneven freckling, some people, especially if they sit in a window or in a car where the sun hits one side, they'll get more freckles on one side of their face than another, and they don't like that. And by applying this vitamin C to part of the face along with other therapies, we can actually help to even that out, especially if someone has scars or needs some wound healing after the first couple phases of wound healing have progressed, and we're now working on kind of that remodeling phase. This is phenomenal. This is one of the vitamin C's that is super fresh and super potent, but as with any skincare ingredient, it works better if you use it over time. That's why I literally give them the extras so that they can take this home as a part of the treatment. The one thing is that even though this has been tested for safety, there are some people that get a little bit itchy. I think there's a little bit of citrus or grapefruit in here, so please keep that in mind if you're like super sensitive, but especially for mature skin, for people with pigmentary issues, this is an absolute favorite. And the vitamin C, I think this works better than the SkinCeuticals. Full transparency, I don't use SkinCeuticals because they're not cruelty free. Some of the doctors and derms that I've worked with do sell SkinCeuticals in office. I personally choose not to use those, and I do use and recommend this, and the results are just as good, if not better. And you know, I don't have to promote $160 SkinCeutical with hot dog water. This is one that I absolutely love. Doctors and derms do agree, which is again why it's permitted, but this is phenomenal. And it's one of those that while you can get it over the counter and while you can use it at home, it's kind of a step above the rest. Another thing that people come in and ask about regularly is microcurrent. And I get so many questions about whether it's the New Face, whether it's the Zip one, even Medicube. That's one that I use for my neck and my shoulders, which is amazing. I do use this on my face, even though I use the mini. And while I have used the New Face in office before, it's actually the New Face conductor gels that I like to use, along with ultrasound gels. It's just like, you can get those really cheap from like a medical supply store. And then I actually use the MyoLift. Now the MyoLift is very interesting. As you can see, this actually has probes, whereas this, you know, it's kind of a handheld device. It's very hard to mess this up. This does have an at-home version, specifically the MyoLift Mini, that you can take home, but they do also have these professional ones in office. And the reason that I like to use this is because I can actually target different muscles. I can actually choose where I'm holding things, and I can literally send small volts of electricity, microcurrent, through the face, and I can actually target and stimulate specific muscles. For example, if somebody comes in and they're looking to tighten just a certain area, or they're looking to build muscle in just a certain area, that's what I'll do. Or for some people who fortunately go to bad Botox injectors, and if you inject Botox here, 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 and here, but not here, you can actually get kind of like one of these Spock brows. And there's really nothing you can do to reverse that other than try to work out the muscle more, which is what we do with a lot of microcurrent. There are also some people who get like a droopy eyelid. That is absolutely terrible. Make sure that you're going to a good injector, but literally targeted microcurrent is what I do to help people in those areas. And And using the New Face is really good for like overall lifting, and it's very fun, but you can't target areas in the same way that sometimes I need to. So in clinic, this is an absolute must, but for at home microcurrent is fantastic too. And I actually recommend people get at-home microcurrent as opposed to in-office, because if you come in office, it's literally an $80 add-on. Like you're gonna pay $80 extra for me to do this to you for 20 minutes to half an hour. Whereas if you actually pay $80 times 3, you can buy one of these, take it home, and you can actually use it regularly. Now, of course, if you have something like a Spock brow, you're going to need to do that, and that's why it needs to be more targeted. But if you are just looking for overall muscle stimulation, you kind of want that chiseled look every morning, you want to sculpt the face, potentially stimulate ATP or collagen, that's when I would say absolutely get something, take it home, and get your money's worth. And again, this makes me a horrible businesswoman, and I know that so many estheticians get pissed at me because it's like, I get it, the more treatments you sell, the more money you're going to make, but it's like, if you're not taking care of your patients and your clients, what the f are you doing? And again, that's not everyone. There are some amazing, amazing estheticians, medical estheticians, nurse practitioners, dermatologists, doctors out there. Absolutely. But there are some that are more in it for the money. And I'm like, hey, as someone who was 16-year-old and struggling with my acne, knowing what it feels like to literally f***ing struggle in my skin and to use my entire paycheck from a home improvement company to buy a $90 cleanser at Sephora that didn't work for me, I'm gonna give people the information they need for my opinion soup, as it is, to help them make the best choices for their skincare long term, and things that are actually going to work for them and their budgets and their wallets, and get them things that they can use, you know, at home over time, as opposed to just like once every 3 weeks when they come in for something, right? There are mini devices. Again, I love the Medicube, I love the New Face, I'm looking into the Zip. There's also the Nua, which is pretty good. But one thing that I do use regularly is the New Face little booster gels. Again, when I am doing microcurrent on someone, I am using ultrasound conduction gel. We have it on hand, it's easy peasy, it's simple. But something else that I do often go for are these, the little boosters. This is the super antioxidant booster from New Face. And if someone is coming in, especially for like a morning treatment, this plays so well under sunscreen. And as an antioxidant booster, it literally works with any of the New Face or other MyoLift microcurrent devices. And it helps to support the skin so that someone looks glowing and fresh and is protected against pollution and free radical damage throughout the entire day. And this layers really well under moisturizer as well as under sunscreen. I usually recommend this for more combo to dry skin types, but this is a great one. And New Face launched this, I want to say it was about 1.5 years ago. I've introduced it, I would say, for about the last 12 months. And this is a really great one that when people have it on their skin, they love the way that it actually makes their skin feel. And it's something that if they wanted to, it could literally go to Sephora, you could buy it and take it home. So it's something that can actually benefit them and their skincare routine for the long run. Speaking of sunscreens, by far the most common sunscreens that I reach for are from EltaMD, and it's because there's like an endless supply. Many dermatologists and doctors' office sell EltaMD, and so it's like available and on hand. But the great thing about EltaMD is that they have so many different sunscreens for so many different skin types, and then they have the tinted and the untinted. And especially like if you just came in for a laser treatment, number one, you need to wear sunscreen. But number two, you should not be wearing makeup. And a lot of people have such a hard time with that. So the EltaMD is like the perfect solution, especially because they have some like the UV Physical Broad Spectrum 41. This is literally made for post-procedure skin, and you can get it tinted or untinted. And when you do, you can literally use this as if it were makeup. And they have some that give you a glow, literally made with antioxidants for glowing skin. They have the UV Clear, which is amazing for people who have acne-prone skin. The UV Clear literally has niacinamide and anti-acne ingredients, as well as formulas that don't break out skin more. And again, if you're trying to cover acne, depending on the makeup and if you sleep in it and don't remove it properly, it can make the entire experience worse. So if you get a tinted sunscreen, the UV Clear that is formulated for acne, it works as a sunscreen, but it also works to help with those blemishes. EltaMD sunscreens are just like what I'm constantly reaching for. Another one that I do have on hand and use regularly in clinic is the Daily SPF Lotion from Face Reality. Face Reality is literally an acne clinic that is made by estheticians for people who struggle with acne, and they have certification programs where estheticians actually go through and learn about lifestyle factors, dietary factors, as well as the actual skin anatomy and what you need to know about active ingredients in acne. And in addition to that training protocol, they also have products that are specifically made for people with acne. One of their sunscreens is really good. This has 4 different organic/chemical SPF ingredients, whereas EltaMD, they have UV Physical, they have chemical, they have blends, etc. But by far, the EltaMD is the most common esthetician holy grail sunscreens that I use, and then the Face Reality is close behind. Now in my personal routine, like I love Zitsticka. Oh my God, I love Dr. Sam Bunting. I love a whole bunch of K-Beauty. There are so many out there, but because they're not sold at clinic or because they're not like right there, they're not as easily accessible as something like these are. Whether you have post-procedure skin, whether you have acne, you want physical, you want tinted, Elta MD has an option for it. And I think that they really are great for dermatology providers, for medical aesthetic providers, even for spa aesthetic providers, because you literally can get just about anything for any skin type depending on what's needed. Speaking of Face Reality, I am very, very lucky that Face Reality is in the Bay Area, and so am I. They've been in San Leandro for 16 years. They have a clinic out in Danville, California. And you can purchase their things online or you can purchase them in person. And especially for people who are struggling with acne, I reach for these all the time. This right here is the Moisture Balance Toner. This does have a little bit of alcohol, but this is really great for people who are struggling with acne, specifically acne and oily skin or acne and dry skin. This is phenomenal. If you don't have acne, I've actually been introducing Niod into the practice. Niod is like the Ordinary's big sister. It's like an elevated PhD form of the Ordinary. And this right here, the superoxide dismutase, this is such a great spray for skin. Very different from someone who has acne where I would use this, whereas somebody who is coming in for a day treatment or day procedure, maybe they've had like medical microneedling in the past, they need more skin support. This is absolutely what I'm going for. And this is one of those that I first started using in my routine, and then I introduced it into clinic because I loved it so much and I realized like this works for so many different skin types. And when I am looking for esthetician holy grail products, I'm literally looking for things that can be used across different skin types and skin conditions and that are focused on skin support so that I can customize or tweak things with little actives, but I kind of have the basics set down. And especially if you are a traveling esthetician or if your esthetician is somebody who goes and does house calls and like does treatments in-house, your kit needs to be portable. You can't be bringing 50 different moisturizers, right? So you want a moisturizer that's going to work, you know, a toner or two that's going to work. And then you want to have all of your little tubes or your little ampules and the things that are lightweight, easy, and portable, but are still going to get the job done and play really well with the basics and the structure of a main routine or a main treatment protocol. Speaking of the Ordinary, you do know that the Ordinary's AHA BHA peel is one of the most potent that you can get without a medical aesthetic license. And I do have this in clinic and I do use it on some people, but I actually don't rely on this as often as people think I do. And it's because in clinic, we literally have Jessner peels. We have a TCA peel. Like we've got some intense motherfucking stuff, right? And I usually have this on hand or this on hand from Paula's Choice for people who are too afraid or who are building up to those larger chemical peels. And if you're ever getting a chemical peel in office, number one, make sure that your practitioner, your care provider, make sure that your esthetician, they need to be patch testing you. If they're not patch testing, you're not getting a chemical peel from them, okay? Okay, you wanna make sure that you're not gonna hyperpigment, you're not gonna scar. No one-day chemical peels over here, babes. No, don't do it. Secondarily, if you've never even used an alpha hydroxy acid in a toner or a moisturizer before, do not go straight in for a peel. You need to build up to that. And this is where I reach for these products when someone is building up to a larger peel or to something more intense. These are also things that I can recommend and give people to actually take home if they want to. This is stuff that they can use on their own and kind of get their skin accustomed to it. Whereas if you're giving someone a Jessner or a TCA peel to take home, you're literally gonna get your ass sued. You need a license to put the chemical peels on. You need a neutralizer on hand. You want a dermatologist on the premises, okay? You wanna make sure they're not out at lunch because if something goes wrong, you need to make sure that you have backup and you know what to do, which is why people should not be peeling off multiple layers of their epidermis at home, okay? No skin frosting at home, babes. I'm telling you, because we've had people that do it and they learn the hard way and then they come in with burns on their face, acid burns. You don't want that. You don't want electrical burns either, but that's a totally different story. Do not try to get toast out of the toaster using a fork, okay? Okay, we good? We good. That is an emergency medicine conversation that we are going to stay far away from. But these are absolute musts in my personal routine, especially this. You know how much I love this. Even though right now I'm actually not using this in my personal routine, I'm actually using one from India that is very, very close and very comparable. I actually think this is the first time in like 3 years that my personal skincare routine doesn't have an Ordinary product in it. Oh my gosh. Well, we have a lot to talk about, but before we talk about my personal routine, we gotta also talk about face masks. These are the other things that are an Esthe's best friend. Whereas this type of a mask is a chemical peel, these type of face masks are must-haves for when it comes to treatments, especially if the Esthe that you go to offers adjacent treatments such as the high frequency or the Tesla wand or microcurrent or LED therapy. Face masks are almost a guarantee that they're going to be there. And these are different from things like clay masks because These are obviously sheet masks that act like serums that go on the face. These are actually rinse off, so they're kind of more like a cleanse step, whereas these actually penetrate things into the skin. And there are so many face masks that I do use. If I am ever playing around with trendy ingredients, obviously I use them on myself first or get it cleared by a doctor or derm first, but this is probably the first place that I introduce them or that I try them out on myself and others. For instance, salmon PDRN is very, very hyped right now. It's basically extracted from salmon testicles, if you didn't know. Well, polydeoxyribonucleotides are very popular in other forms of medicine. For example, they've actually been injected into some people's spines, but recently, again, because of Korea, we've been seeing them in skincare. And while this doesn't have fish in it, this is a sodium-derived version. This is one that I've been playing around with, and it is one that you can purchase over the counter, but it's one that I choose to bring into clinic. Some of my other favorites are things like this Centella from Skin 1004. Holy shit, this is so, so good. I also really like this one from Rovectin, the Aqua Mask. And then these are some of my favorites because you actually mix these live. Do you see how you have the sheet side and then you have the liquid side? You actually tear these and you mix them in real time. So it's very similar to the Medicube Vitamin C ampule, where it's very potent because you're mixing it right in front of someone and like making it custom for them right there. That does add a lot to the experience, but it also adds to the potency of the product. And if someone is paying $200 plus for a facial and a treatment, you bet your they're gonna be getting the freshest, best ingredients customized to their face and their skin and their needs. These are absolutely wonderful. The Love one is very cute, but one of my favorites for acne-prone skin is this. This is in my personal routine. This is the Zitsticka Press Refresh. You could literally walk your ass into Target or Ulta and buy one of these. One of my favorite face masks ever, and this one doesn't slip off the face. Whenever I'm doing face masks on others, obviously they're laying down, but if you are someone who wears a face mask at home and you're like getting up and walking around and it's like sliding off your face while you're watching TV or listening to the Double Cleanse podcast from James and Robert Welsh. Yes, other face masks can get really annoying really quick. This one actually has graphene, so it like grips to your skin, and it's like a biocellulose mask that like grips on, it annihilates acne. It's the first mask that I found that does not slide off my face. Absolutely wonderful. You can get these on sale at Target. You can get them on sale at Ulta. I've gotten them on sale at Amazon, but this is wonderful and worth every penny. It has salicylic acid, it has AHAs, it has niacinamide for sebum control and for brightness. This also has hyaluronic acid and allantoin. It really helps with redness and calming and soothing. And this is one that, again, I've loved for myself, fell in love with it so much that I introduced it to clinic. And especially for people who are struggling with acne, this is always a favorite and a pick of mine. What I use professionally in clinic as a medical esthetician can be very different than what I use at home. And it's obviously because patients and clients have different skin needs than I do. But there are some things that are absolutely universal. Really great cleansers or exfoliators, really great moisturizers that you can literally mix other actives in and layer well with other things in a person's routine. And a lot of the things that I've found professionally in clinic and were introduced to in clinic ended up becoming some of my favorites at home. And some of my favorites at home actually ended up making their way in clinic because of how well they work for myself as well as other people that I've used them on. And of course, there are brands that are made for professionals, things like Dermalogica or things like Elta MD that you can purchase at home. And then there are things like Ulla Henriksen that are literally made by industry professionals, but that you can pick up at Sephora, or like The Ordinary that you can get at Ulta. A huge thank you to many of these brands for creating such amazing products. I remember when I was first in aesthetics school, we literally had Dermalogica people coming in and educating us on things. And I have actually had the opportunity to meet Ulla Henriksen in person and literally to touch his face. He is one of the sweetest people. He radiates with so much light and so much sunshine. And the fact that a brand that I've been using for years is willing to work with me, not only in clinic, but partner with us on videos and support the content that we create and the education that we bring forward to people. It means so much to me. And that's why, as a medical esthetician, as someone who has literally gone through acne, being able to help other people through their own skin journey, being able to help a teenager build a routine for a first time because he didn't have one, or being able to help a mom who just struggled with postpartum depression and who has like a melasma face mask and needs help understanding how to use brighteners in her routine that aren't going to irritate her skin. It gives me so much joy. You know, tell a girl that she gets to help other people while playing with pretty, delicious, fun-smelling, really hard-working, wonderful products and packaging, and understand the cosmetic chemistry and the biology of our beauty and how they play together. together, I literally could not be a happier person. A huge thanks to Ulla Henriksen, a huge thanks to the doctors and the derms who have taught me that I have learned so much from, especially seeing as my first experience in 2009 in aesthetic school consisted of MLM oil sales ladies from like Young Living. That was terrible. That is definitely not an Esthie bestie. And like a huge thanks to brands like The Ordinary for creating inexpensive and effective skincare that people can purchase affordably. And for products that go on sale. I love a good sale. And I love being able to share those with you as well. Fun fact, something I've been doing recently is testing out different products specifically on like my shoulders and my back. And I have been asking people to send me skincare sales that they find, and I'm putting them up on my Instagram stories. So if you do want to follow on Instagram, I've got those for you. And I've also been getting some patient and client permission to feature some people's skin stories as well, or to go skincare shopping for some of our beautiful butterflies. So on Instagram Reels, we are actually creating some custom skincare routines for people in my own life, or maybe even some of you. So be sure to check those out on Instagram if you haven't already. And of course, all of my Esthetician Holy Grails that we spoke about are in the description below if you do want to use those. Some of those are affiliate links. You are never obligated to shop them at all. I only want you to get things that are actually good for you and your skin. But if you choose to, it does support the channel. It supports the amazing editors and the team members that I get to work with. And it also supports their pets because, fun fact, we do send our team members and our editors skincare as well as puppy and kitty treats. And I think one of our editors even has a hamster, and I think one might have a bird. Does anybody know where I can get like organic handmade bird and hamster treats? I've had so much fun sharing some of these favorites with you, sharing a little bit more about what happens in the private and more medical and spa and aesthetic settings. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and always remember to stay hydrated, both orally and topically, reapply your SPF, and always be beautiful both inside and out. I love you, and I cannot wait to see you maybe on Instagram stories for sales, maybe on Instagram Reels or TikTok to build you a skincare routine, or maybe even in clinic. We're not taking new clients and new patients right now. You need to book as a derm patient if you even want to get close. If that ever opens up to the public, I will let you know. Right now it is not. But for now, we are here. You can subscribe and join the beautiful butterfly family, and if that ever changes, I promise you will be the first to know. I love you guys, and I cannot wait to see you in this next video. Love you guys. Bye.